citizens report.
Right. All right, I'm calling to order the special meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Warrenville Public Library District. It is Wednesday, September 7th, and it is 7:01 p.m. First thing I'm going to do is a roll call. Trustee Stelp.
Present.
Trustee Warren.
Present.
Trustee Pika.
Present.
Trustee DeRocher is here, and Director Whitmer is also here. We have to state who's not present.
Probably a good idea.
Not yet present. Our Trustee Lazan, Trustee Ratzika, and Trustee Richardson will be absent for sure.
Did not receive any requests for remote attendance and participation, correct?
Correct.
What did you say about Trustee Richardson?
She is not able to be present.
Oh,
She had told me that she would be absent.
I thought you said something was wrong with her. I'm sorry, I just wanted to.
No, she didn't. There was a schedule conflict.
Yeah, so I just didn't. Okay.
Okay, so could I have a motion for the approval of, or do we have any changes to the agenda? I don't believe we need a closed session.
Right.
It was put on there just in case we had anything to discuss regarding our illustrious director, but I don't think we had anything.
I think that can be removed.
So I think we can remove that.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Trustee Stoll,
Aye.
Trustee Warren,
Aye.
Trustee Pika,
Aye.
and Trustee DeRocher votes aye. Motion carries. All right, so we don't have any public comments, but we did have someone say that they might be coming in to listen after they finish the program next door. So we may be having someone from the public in here at some point. We're expecting a presentation from John Keister at 7:15. So I thought that would give us each some time to review the proposals that are in front of us, just in case you haven't had a chance. Rick, did you look at them online?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
okay.
So the first presentation will be from John Keister. So,
Okay.
and the presentation is really designed to be just an introduction, a short introduction. And I'll be stressing to both the firms that they have a short presentation. So, and luckily they can both attend remotely, so it isn't an inconvenience for them to come all
Well,
the
I
way
going to stand up to make sure they don't have shorts.
here.
I did read this part of it.
Oh, good. You did. Okay. All right. Well, sorry, I wasn't exactly sure if we would need time for reviewing it, so that's why I had our first presentation scheduled for 7:15.
So the one question that I had in general, so I understand what their fee for the proposal is. So when it talks about that not included are costs incurred by candidates, are we obligated to pick up some of that?
We are.
Okay.
If we probably would do our first round of interviews via a video, Zoom or something. And then if we bring in people for final interviews from far away, we will need to cover their travel costs and their housing.
Because I remember when we interviewed John Keister, it got it down to 6 people, and we had 2 Saturdays and we interviewed 3 each, and then I believe they are.
I think that John's process might have changed a little bit. I don't think he intends to have that many.
Streamlining it.
I'm trying to see where he has it. I think he's going to be streamlining it down to.
Now, are we gonna have a search committee? I see that's in here, in this timeline, is that gonna be the personnel committee or?
No, the search committee is us, the
Okay.
whole board.
Okay,
And because we have his firm, we're not going to have a separate committee.
okay.
He's going to be doing the bulk of the work that
Right,
the
oh,
committee
yeah,
would be
no,
doing.
yeah, I remember.
So there isn't really a need to have a separate committee. They
Yeah.
can report to us as needed.
Because we all need to know.
So,
Oh, here he is.
hi there, welcome. Oh, wait, we're not
John,
hearing you. Hold
You're
on.
muted, I think.
Yeah.
Are you muted? on your
Muted,
end?
okay.
There.
Yeah.
Hear you now.
I didn't know I'd go right into the meeting. This is kind of embarrassing.
Oh, no, that's okay, that's okay.
It's all right. We're just taking a minute to review both of the proposals.
Kate, you want me to exit the meeting?
No,
No,
Okay.
Welcome to stay, but if you'd like, you're.
Oh,
big on
sure.
screen right now.
You're very big on our screen.
So it's your choice. If you want to, if you want to just mute yourself. and
Sure.
even Turn off your camera, unless you want to just make faces at us for 15 minutes. That would be okay too.
Okay, so.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I won't mute, but what I'll do, I'll turn my camera off, then I'll make faces at you because then I can hear you.
Okay,
So
sounds great.
I'll do both. It's okay.
Yes, okay. So to the point that Heather, just the question Heather brought up about if a candidate needs to travel or requires lodging, meals, et cetera, I am working on preparing the final budget and appropriation ordinance for adoption in September. So I will include funds for that expenditure in the recruiting line.
What we have in the budget to pay for.
Right, we have nothing in the working budget for that. Just as we don't really have anything in the working budget for the consulting firm to recruit. But I can make sure that those funds are included in the budget and appropriation ordinance so we can spend those funds.
Okay.
It does say 3 to 6 candidates, page 5 of John's. I'm going to encourage him to hear that. We might not have any choice.
I
It
was
just
just gonna
depends.
say, he may not be able to come up with.
That's right.
And I don't know if you want to acknowledge that trustee Rosika
Oh.
arrived.
Yes, so we have started the meeting already.
Yes, I see that. Yes.
So we're just acknowledging that you are now present. Hello.
Hello, Mark.
Trustee Rizzi.
How are you?
Fine, you?
Good.
Good.
That would be actually an excellent question for you to bring up during his presentation. I'm sure he's going to give us a little bit of time.
Yeah, like I said, if it's that competitive, we might not.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'd like to actually propose then that we ask John to start his presentation sooner then, if that's amenable to everyone.
Fine with me.
All right. John, could you unmute?
There I am, big head and all.
You were there. Would love to have you start your presentation a little bit earlier, but we do
Okay.
have a hard stop at 7:30.
Good,
Because we're expecting our other presentation.
right?
And we do have at least one trustee question, which you might answer.
Oh, I hope there's a lot of questions because if you give me the floor, I'll go all night. So this is not good. So no, I think we learn more by questions and answers and things. So, but let me just start. And I thought what I would do, and first of all, is thank you very, very much for inviting me. I can't tell you how excited Beth and I are. Warrenville was a very early search of ours after we switched our search practice from global technology companies to libraries. And it's always had a very close spot in our hearts. I know my daughter very much enjoyed working with you. I want to say it was 2019 or something. She worked on your strategic plan, did your community needs assessments and things. And in my family, Warrenville rates the top. So very excited.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I thought I'd do is just kind of give you a little bit of an overview instead of, talking your ear off. And I guess I would just start off by, just letting you know, we're an executive search firm that I co-founded with my wife, Beth, in 1987. We are full-time search consultants. Our work is grounded in executive search, and we approach our work with libraries through that lens. What really I think sets us apart is that we are professionals who practice the art of recruiting. We're not a firm that takes your job description, turns it into a job posting, gathers the resumes of those who respond, and then just have you interview the best of those responsibles. Rather, we're very proactive. We're proactive recruiters. We go beyond the job description. We want to be certain we're attracting the right person for Warrenville, not just the best of who replies to a job posting. Our focus in our search includes like soft skills such as leadership, passion, vision, and the right fit for your library culture. And we want to fully understand the operations, culture, and opportunities at Warrenville. and I'll visit the library, meet with staff individually or in small groups, have discussions with board members, and really reach out to key stakeholders in your community, and because that's how we learn. We want to know what makes the Warrenville Library and the Warrenville community unique. And with an understanding of those attributes that are needed in the next director, we'll develop a profile of the type of library leader who is going to thrive at Warrenville. We'll then identify, recruit, and qualify the right leadership talent. And we also find that really our best candidates are often those who are happy with their current role and not looking for a new job. Those are the leaders we reach out to. In fact, I would say over the past, let's say 4 or 5 years, about 3/4 of the library directors we place were absolutely not interested in changing jobs. Our goal is to have candidates who are going to run to Warrenville, not run away from their current library. And I guess in conclusion, we see ourselves as guiding you through a process so you hire the right person for your library and community. We very much enjoyed working with the library 17 years ago and would be excited to work with you again.
Lovely. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you.
Now questions.
Very concise.
It was very concise. I told him he only had a little bit of time, so.
You're scared of me.
You want to go ahead and pose your question, Heather?
Well, so I am one of the only trustees that you worked with in the last library search. So I
You haven't aged a bit.
Thank you.
I have, but I had no gray hair then.
I just wondered, but, so I know when you're saying recruit, like how, are you gonna stick with you could say Chicago metropolitan area? Or are you talking about, say, California or,
Oh, that's a great question. And if this was an area I'd go into if we had lots of time, because I have lots of questions and things for you. But I really think, and at least I have a preference, and I do, whatever a board wants me to do. But I really think searches, particularly when we're in Illinois and the Chicago area, should be more focused regionally. Now, something I do insist on, which is kind of me, when I talked about, matching the culture of the community and the library and things. Well, first, by default, our goal is for everyone in North America to know about this opportunity. And we do a website and, all kinds of things like that we could talk about if we have time. But I really think that whoever is a serious candidate for this role needs to have some connection to the area. Maybe they grew up in the west suburbs, they have family there, they went to school there, something, because the worst thing you can do, can you imagine like hiring somebody from Orange County, California, and they move to Warrenville, and the first time it snows, they're like, well, this is no good. But there's also the culture. We're Midwesterners. So I always insist on seeing that connection to the area. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, that's a very important point you raised.
yeah, well, which brings me to sort of the next question as well, is I know we brought up that it seems like it's gonna be a very competitive market for the candidates. So and I know last time we had 6 people, and I didn't know I hate to think we're gonna have to say scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Well, your memory is much better than mine. So, and I didn't remember if it was 6. Obviously, I've changed. Every time I do a search, I change what I do because I'm always trying things and learning. This is what I would say about the market. It is highly competitive right now. I won't use her name. Sandy probably knows who I'm talking about. But there's a director in the suburbs who recently announced that she's resigning her directorship and is leaving the field. And I know her, and we talked last night, and I was just kind of, counseling her a little bit, and, and that we're in an era that I've never seen before, where it's not only that we don't have a big pool of people who want to be library directors, but many library leaders right now, even if they're not a director or they're in an administrative role, they're leaving the profession, and it's sad. Do you all know who Kathy Parker is? I know Sandy probably does. Yeah, Kathy and I talk about this a lot. In fact, we did that last night too. And it's kind of alarming. So yeah, it's a highly competitive market. It's not just resignations, it's people leaving. So you've got those normal things going on like that, but at the same time, we're in a situation where there's a reluctance to move into a library directorship. Now, that said, I don't think you're going to have that problem in Warrenville. You don't have, I won't even go take all your time going into examples. There are some libraries and areas of this country that are just unbelievably going through a really bad time right now. In fact, I just this afternoon, there's a board in Michigan that they were seeking my advice. It's gotten so bad, their staff is unionizing now, and there's so much going on, but I don't see that problem in Warrenville. Now, I have changed a little bit my process. Back then, it sounds like a long time ago, 17 years. We had more of what I would call a batch process, and that's where you have like a slate of candidates. Can do that again, but something that I think might work a little bit better, and I'm reaching back to the days when we worked in the technology sector, and that's what I call linear interviewing. And by that, I mean, when we identify and we've qualified, and because remember, we're recruiting people. The thing you are not going to have people apply for this traditional, it's not going to happen. Well, you'll have people apply, but you'll have I usually have Uber drivers and things like that. But I'm going to be reaching out to people. And if somebody is really good and I get them interested and, they're ready to roll, I don't want to have to tell them, well, okay, but I'm going to talk to the board in a month and you might interview in 6 or 7 weeks, because you're going to lose the candidate. They have short shelf lives. So I'm kind of going back to the linear process, that if I've identified somebody that I really think you at least need to talk to, a preliminary talk, I'm going to let you know. That may not be the right person. But the candidate would feel better, because it's like, at least I've talked to somebody. And, John says that the formal process may not be for a few weeks. That's okay, because I've made that connection now with the library. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's something that I would probably try to convince you to do. Put it that way.
And that our timeline is actually fairly tight.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will be an advantage in the recruitment.
Right. But you've got a good name. I mean, oh my gosh. Everybody knows what you've done. And I mean, at least in the Chicago area, and my job is to hammer that home, I guess, but.
I was gonna say, I think that'll expose us to a variety, and it may work in our favor in another way. If this person thought they would be a good fit and we don't feel that, at least that helps John too.
Yeah, that does, because what it does, it gives me the feedback, and then I can adjust things. So and something we've done that was very, very different that we did not do 17 years ago. We kind of mentioned it in the proposal, but didn't really stress it that much. It's a lot of work, but it's an incredibly useful tool. We do take the time to develop a fairly comprehensive website for every search we do. We code it, we host it ourselves, we research it. Has a lot of information on the library, the community, the opportunity, and we use that tool as a marketing awareness tool. We do that instead of, you'll never see a traditional job. I don't like job postings. I think every library looks alike, job postings. You want something that's going to set you apart. And what we tried to do with the websites is that, and we find that people refer to site to other people, and it gives us a chance to connect and network and things like that. In fact, there's a couple that are still active. I can just tell you tonight what they are, if you wanted to write it down. If you went to www.johnkeister.com, it's JOHNKEISTER.com, / Frankfurt's still up, so / Frankfurt. And then we recently completed the Vernon Area Public Library District. That's still active. So johnkeister.com / VAPLD for Vernon Area Public Library District. That'll kind of give you an idea what we do. And we use that as a quality check. That helps us know that we're asking the right questions and learning the information, because in order to do a good website, we've got to ask the questions. We've got to gather that information, or we can't do an effective website. So it helps us. It's a quality check for us.
So, John, I had a question. I think I remember from your proposal that you would be coming, if we chose to go with you, that you would be coming in and doing some interviews with the current staff and board.
Oh, that's very, very important. That's actually the most important step of any executive search, is learning. I know about you and things, but I don't know what the culture's like. I don't know everything about the operation. So what I would propose doing, and I think this is very important, I would want to come in, I'll take a day. There's a whole bunch of ways to do it to accommodate how the staff would like to do it. But for example, Sandy could set me up in a study room, and during the day, people can come in and talk to me as they have time. I'm trying not to impact public service, so I don't want to like shut things down. Or people can come in small groups, whatever like that. And I have conversations and I get them talking and then I just listen. And this helps me learn what's going on here. What makes this place tick? What makes this different than every other library? So I do that. I definitely would want to meet with Sandy. Very importantly, I want to get to know you. The number one question historically that candidates have always asked me is tell me about the library board. Now it's like hypercritical because everybody's on edge right now with boards. I mean, at school boards and everything like that. So, I could either meet with the board as a whole, but one of the things that I have found that helps me, and I think it helps candidates, I want to get to know you as people, as trustees, not just the board. So I'd like to set up individual Zoom calls with each trustee and just talk and learn about you and who are you outside of the library? And that helps me a lot when I do that. So, and then particularly as we put together the website and it has all the community information, we reach out to people in the community, obviously like the Chamber of Commerce head, things like that. But I would ask you, are there other people you think we should be talking to, some key stakeholders? There's a couple of reasons for that. One, to help us because gathering information, but the other one, sometimes it's politically smart to do that. I guess that you're, reaching out to a key stakeholder and saying, we really value your input. So that's kind of good too. Some good PR, I guess, on that. But that's important too. One of the things I noted for, I did this recently, which you're gonna laugh at this, but it's true. I wanted to find out what was going on in a community, and happened to be Grand Haven, Michigan. And I've been to Grand Haven. We've all been there, nice beaches and that. But I wanted to see what's the community really like. So I camped out for about 2 hours in the local Walmart and I just observed people. What are they buying? What are they doing? So I'm learning about community. I do that a lot where I'll just go into a store. I'll say, hey, you're working here. Do you live here? Yeah. Well, what can you tell me about Warrenville? What do you enjoy about living here? That just gives me more and more information. That's a really important step in the search. Then from all that information, I put it all together and I do a profile. And it's like, who am I looking for? I don't have a name. I don't know the person yet, but I can describe them. Who's this person that's going to come in and thrive here at this library? And then I go get them. I guess the best way to put it, I go get them. I identify them, qualify them, recruit them. And there's been some pretty well-known ones around here. Sandy, do you know Betsy Adamdowski?
Of course I know Betsy.
She went through that with me when she was at Itasca. I didn't know her. I met her at ILA in Springfield because I did a lot with legislative activities. And I called her up and I says, let's go to lunch at Panera. And she said, oh, why? And I says, well, I just want to get to know you. So we're at lunch and I was doing the Wheaton search and I had already gone through all this. And I thought, I had lunch with her and I went, oh my gosh, this is just the right type of person. Well, I won't imitate her voice. Sandy knows what I'm talking about, but she's like, well, John, I love my job. I'm not interested in going anywhere. And I says, let's talk some more. And of course, she's been the director at Wheaton now for several years and, was ILA president, all that type of thing. So that's what I do. I enjoy it. I just love what I do. So.
I would like to say that I'm presently a trustee, but 17 years ago, I was employed by the Warrenville Library. And I do remember your process. And I
great.
remember meeting all your candidates, plus Sandy.
Yeah.
And you did a really good job, and I can remember some of the aspects. But the thing I was most impressed about what you said tonight was that you look for a person who has leadership,
yes,
steady in their job, and secure that they will stay warm to Warrenville and connected to the town. But the thing I was most impressed with was passion. And I feel that if you cannot find a director that doesn't have passion, then that's not the right one. Passion is the most important quality, I believe, that they love their job.
Boy, you're so right.
Do you know? and they're gonna be A plus plus plus. And
There-
Sandy was like that. Sandy is like that. When she first had the job, she stayed here half the night.
Yeah, I
working.
know.
She had passion for her job.
Do you know
So-
how hard it's gonna be to replace her?
Yes, it's gonna be very difficult.
Yeah, I think the board is
It's
quite
gonna be
aware of
very
that,
difficult
actually.
because
Okay.
Sandy was an A plus plus plus.
Gotcha.
So we're looking for someone with these same qualities that, and I'm impressed with what you said tonight.
You know, you are so right and so on the same page with me, because there's three things you have to even start the process with me to be a candidate. There's three things.
That
Number one is
relationship right
passion.
there.
Even when I talk to someone, even if it's on the phone or something or Zoom, I want to get a feeling that when you wake up in the morning and your feet hit the floor, you're anxious to get to work. That's what I'm looking for. I want to feel
saw that with Sandy.
right.
Yeah.
The second thing is sense of humor, because if you don't have a good sense of humor, you know, you can be miserable to work with, and also the stresses the job can get you. That's kind of easy for me, because a lot of times if I introduce myself to someone, they'll snicker about my name, Keister. I get a lot of jokes. Great name if you're a recruiter, but I get a lot of jokes, so that's good. So they pass that. But the third one is leadership. If all you were looking for was a manager to come in and keep the lights on and stuff, easy peasy. Don't hire me. Don't hire anybody. But I focus on leadership. Leaders, and I
And
really
you said some very, very key things that makes
It
me
is.
impressed with you.
you know, and everybody defines it differently, but to me, a good leader is, first of all, inspirational, that they're going to inspire you as the board, they're going to inspire the staff, they're going to inspire the
good
community.
leader will lead others.
Right. And the
Be a
key
great
thing that I
leader.
do when I'm talking to people, what I'm looking for is, you know, if things go really well at the library, gosh, look what my staff did. And if things don't go so well, I messed up. That's what I'm looking for.
You know, we just have about 2 minutes left.
Oh,
and-
sorry, I went over. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. Jerry wanted to say something, and I'm wondering if Rick has some comments. Go ahead, Jerry.
I just want to know, should we decide to go with you, how many searches are you currently engaged in for other libraries?
One.
Specific.
We actually limit our searches. We always historically have done that in order to keep our quality up. So let me qualify that a little bit. In terms of active searches, where we're like recruiting for a library director, 2 maximum. Okay, and we're doing one right now.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, and that one's pretty well underway. Now, there will be overlap, like for example, there'll be a period of time where we're waiting on you to interview people or something like that, and I may start another one. So there's overlap, but in terms of the active recruiting is 2. We just, you know, how do you keep the quality up if you're doing 5, 6, or 7 searches?
That's my
You can't
point,
do it.
exactly, John.
You can't do
And
it.
If I could just ask you to quickly elaborate final steps, mainly the negotiation of salary, et cetera. I'm assuming you're going to be benchmarking for what's appropriate for our library district and bring us that information.
Yeah, that's actually a key role that I play that sometimes we overlook. Pretty often a board will end up, you know, making an offer, and it's, you know, the person's accepts the offer, and you're like, you know, yippee yay, this is great. Don't break out the champagne yet, because you've got to get the person on board. So I help with transition a lot. The other part is salary negotiations. To be honest with you, I want to get that all out of the way before you ever vote publicly to hire someone. Because I want to know that when you do a public vote, it's unanimous, and the person is, you know, they're going to accept, because we've done all the legwork on this.
Good.
I've been in your shoes. I've been a library board president for 2 library districts, but I never like surprises. And I have never, knock on wood so far, ever had a situation where a board voted to hire someone and the candidate turned it down. I haven't had that. Because if I do my job, it's done. When you go to your vote, it's done.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. It is 7:30. Rick, do you have anything?
No, I was just enjoying your presentation.
Okay.
Well, I will just leave you with this. Thanks again, and we're extremely interested. And even if you don't hire us, we would still do anything we could to help you. So, you mean a lot to us in our history. So,
Thank you, John.
Very well.
well, thank
We
you.
appreciate your passion. How's
We
that?
do. We
Okay.
appreciate your passion.
Okay, have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Jen.
Boy, the next one's gonna have to really top.
Here's Jim. Hi, Jim, are you able to hear us?
this microphone. There we go.
There he is.
Hello, hello, hello. Sorry,
Oh,
I saw that John was still on, so I tried to kind of duck out.
I know you stayed under the radar. Thank you.
So I had you guys slated for 7:35, but if you're ready to make your presentation now, we can go ahead and begin.
I think we're gonna wait. Are we waiting for Alex?
Alex is he's actually in Washington, DC, and I just got a text that said he was having a hard time.
Uh-oh.
And the next text says I'm on the phone but muted, so.
Oh, hold on, let me. I see him. I'm gonna allow him to talk.
Good.
Maybe. Hold on. How can I get him unmuted? Okay.
Hello, this is Alex. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Great, we
excellent.
can hear you.
Great.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for your patience on that. Yeah, sorry. I'm not sure why. My Zoom on my Chromebook is not working, but it's not.
I'm Barbara DeRocher. I'm the president of the Warrenville Public Library District, and you're here with many of the board members, not all of us. So we are ready for you if you're ready to begin.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you for having us. I'll jump in and Alex he'll jump in, when he gets a chance. But Alex and I are Deiters and Todd Library Consulting. We started up this gig, I don't know, about 3 years ago. We decided that we were going to, start doing some library consulting. And the bulk of our work is on executive searches, but we also do consulting for helping out. Alex does a lot of work with helping with budgets and budget forecasting and levying and that kind of stuff. And he's with the district library, and he's up in the north. I'm down in the south. I'm at Joliet Public Library as deputy director, and I've been mostly with the municipals, or always with municipal libraries. So we've got kind of the north. He's got the north covered, and he's district, and I got the south covered, and I've been with municipal cities and villages. So we are both working librarians. We're both still 9 to 5, do our work as in libraries. So that's kind of our, I don't know, one of our specialities that's special about us is that we are working librarians, and that just kind of gives us, insights to what's currently happening in library land and who's out there and who are the up and comers and that kind of thing. So that's kind of one of our pitches is that, that kind of sets us apart from other consulting agencies. But yeah, so we've been doing this since 2019. I think we've done about 10 or 11 now. I don't have that exact number in front of me, but yeah, we've helped folks from out by you guys to folks down Fossil Ridge, down that way, and out to the southeastern suburbs to Crete. But we've really been enjoying ourselves. So yeah, you've got 2 working librarians, and people often ask, well, how do you find time to, help us out? And, when you're working your regular jobs, but between the 2 of us, and Alex has got a lot of flexibility being the executive director up there, we can always make time, whether it's in the evenings, weekends, and typically that's when boards are available because you guys are working. A lot of folks are still working your day jobs. And so that's when you're best available as well. But yeah, we really enjoy doing this. We kind of feel like we're, part of it is like giving back, and part of it is doing well for the profession that we've chosen to be a part of for a long, long part of our lives. I hate to even say it, but I think between the 2 of us, we're probably close to 50 years of library service between the 2 of us. And both of our parents were librarians, so we are super geeks in that sense, that we come from library parents as well, his dad and my mom. So again, we've been doing it for a long time, and we really enjoy it, and I think we're good at it, and help in assisting boards get out there and help find their next director, or just helping them with ongoing training and board development and that kind of thing as well. But tonight we're talking about your executive search, and Sandy's retiring, it sounds like, huh? And sorry for all of you to lose a great leader. That's always tough. But now it's your task as the library board to go out there and do your best to find the next director for Warrenville Library. So your district, right? So you've got 7 elected. I believe that's the setup, 7 elected trustees.
That's correct,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, so the folks in your district are putting their faith in you and doing the best for the Warrenville Public Library District. And you've got the task ahead of you that you, you know, and some boards take that on themselves. And, you know, we've actually jumped in, I'll say jumped in to help at least one library who started the process. Just the board said, okay, we can do this. And then as the applications started coming in, they said, whoa, 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 we're not quite sure what we're doing here. So then they asked us to kind of come aboard and help them out, you know, finish the task. So, you know, we've done this for a while. We've done it with, in our own libraries, you know, as we hire staff, bringing them on. And then we've done that on the consulting edge as well, helping libraries bring in their new directors. So we've got kind of a wide span of experiences within library land, and then our own experiences going through interviews and through this process as well. So yeah, our process takes about 3 months. And that's not the time that, you know, the incoming person has to give notice and, you know, find their way over to your place and kind of get settled in. But it takes about 3 months, you know, so I'm just hypothetically saying we start October 1. The search would take October, November, December, and then the time it would take for the person to come in and fill that seat. So it's usually about 4 months all told. To get that done. And what we can kind of do is we kick it off. We meet with you guys as the board. We do our homework. We meet with as many of the staff that we can meet with. If you use your management team, we'll meet with them. That's just to get a feel for who it is that you're looking for. That's to get a feel of what we want the job ad to read like, you know, and then all the other things, you know, what's a regular work week look like? How many hours do you put in? What kind of benefits do you have? All that kind of stuff, all that information that we need to have to kind of have the mindset, but also then to go ahead and create a job ad for the Warrenville Library, you know, the executive director there. So we do that. We meet with all of you. That could be at a board meeting, or it could be usually it's at a board meeting, makes it easier. But we'd like to do that in person. We'd like to be there with you and have that meeting. That's kind of the kickoff meeting. Then we create a job ad. We send that back to you, Barbara, and then you can share that with, you know, whoever it is on the board that you would like to get input from. Sometimes the board president just says, oh yeah, I like this, or please add this. This is something special about Warrenville. We'd like to be included in there. And we create a job ad. And then it gets kind of quiet. And that's where I kind of think sometimes then it freaks people out, like, well, what's going on? So, you know, typically it's a month that the job gets posted. That's not a tried and true thing. Sometimes we've sped it up for folks. Sometimes we've made it a little bit longer, but you put it out there, right? The job has to go out there, and we put that out nowadays because used to be, you know, you put it in the public library magazine or that kind of thing, but now everybody does everything online, right? So it goes to the Illinois Library Association, it goes to Rails, it goes to Heartland, it goes to ALA. We still use Indeed. We've got a lot, you know, some interesting responses from Indeed. So we like to keep trying it. Sometimes we get folks that aren't qualified, but it's still worth the effort because we do get some folks that have proved out to be good candidates. So it might not be the bulk of them, but it's still worth the while. And then we put it out there to other professional organizations too. You know, if we're looking for a specific niche, I guess, for the new director, we can put that out there as well, and find those different spots to make sure that, you know, it gets best seen. And obviously you guys would have it up on your website. We would put it up on our LinkedIn page, all the different avenues that you can do now with social media and making it available to as many people that are looking. And Illinois is a place that folks want to come. You know, we've got a good library setup here. So we do get folks that apply. In fact, not for something we're doing for Dieters and Todd, but we just posted a position for Joliet. We got somebody that applied to come from Hawaii. It was like, who the heck wants to come from Hawaii to come to Illinois with winter coming? But yeah, Illinois is definitely a place that that does well by their libraries. And so folks do want to come here to work, especially, the Chicagoland area and the suburbs in and around Chicago, because we pay pretty well too. And so that's always you're close to Chicago, but we do pretty well by our libraries. Nobody gets rich in libraries, but if we're doing okay, we're definitely doing that in and around Illinois and in the Chicagoland area. So yeah, we put it out there, we get the feedback. What Alex and I do is we start the process for you. And of course we would get input from you guys as well, Barbara and the rest of your team there, but we start the process. So as applicants come in, we start looking through them, vetting them, seeing who's qualified. Do they have all the things that you guys are looking for your next director? And then once the deadline comes, our process is that we go through and take a look at all those resumes and cover letters and say, these are the folks that we think are qualified. And we'll give everybody, if they've meet all the basic qualifications, we give them a shot. We may give them a phone call interview and we talk it through, and we have our list of, maybe it's a half-hour conversation that we have with all of the candidates that we call. I think most we've ever done was about 14, which was a lot, but we said, hey, all these folks are qualified. We'd like to talk to all of them. And then we go through there and have those phone interviews with them. And we go through that process. And then we try to bring you guys the best of that group. And usually by that time, we're trying to get it to 6 or 5. Usually 5 is kind of the number that we're looking for to get it down to, because that's a workable number for you. And then that depends. In the past, we've had internal candidates where the board says, hey, we've got an internal candidate. We'd like them to have a chance to meet with the board. Or you guys might tell us, treat the internal candidate just like any other candidate in this pool. And if you don't think that they, have the stuff to lead Warrenville Library, then go ahead and you can make that decision that they won't go on to the next round. But that's just a decision that you guys would have to tell us. If you do have an internal candidate, how we're going to proceed with that internal candidate. Do you want to speak with that internal candidate as a board? And that would then perhaps change that number that we're looking for. So we would bring that group to you. We set it up that we would do it via Zoom. And some boards have been kind of hesitant for that. And I don't blame you, because, I think a lot of us are tired of getting on computers and doing things over Zoom, but it makes it so much easier to schedule those things. So think about it, if you were trying to schedule 5 or 6 interviews in that, I guess it would be like the semifinalist round, trying to get them to come out to Warrenville, then you would have to stagger those meetings so that, people aren't crossing over each other. And so again, if you had 6 people, you're talking about at least two evenings that you'd have to set aside. The beauty of things like Zoom that have made our lives easier is the folks can be, I'm just making this up, they could be in Ohio and they could jump on the computer and they could, just like you did tonight, we could have every half hour, you could have an interview, or every 45 minutes, you could then have the next interview. And so it does kind of make it easier, that convenience for you guys as a board, but also for the candidates as well. And, especially if there's travel involved potentially. So we do that with the Zoom, then you guys take a look at those folks. We go through that process. We don't steer you in one direction or the other, but we listen to you, we give you feedback. We maybe take notes and say, this is something that maybe you should consider when you're talking through these potential candidates. And then we try to get it to 2. And that's what we really want to have for the in-person interviews. We want to have 2 people that meet with you guys, that meet with your management team or your staff, however many folks that we want to have. And we want those 2 folks so that you guys get to meet them there in your library in person. They can get a tour of the building that day. And then they do a presentation typically. We give you guys some ideas for, here's some presentation topics. You might have some of your own. And we tell the candidates, hey, prepare a 15-minute presentation on this topic about libraries. And then they give that presentation to you as the board. They give that presentation to, again, as many staff members as we're going to bring into this. And then there's a little time for Q&A after that. We then have kind of a separate thing where we ask the board to go to one room and we ask the management team who's going to be on the interview, and then they go through an interview process. Let's say it's 10 questions. We go through an hour interview with the staff, and then I do a debrief, let's say, with the staff, and I'm going to bring that information back to you guys as the board. And Alex could meet with you guys as the board for that interview where you guys sit down and have a more in-depth interview with that candidate. And then you guys go through the process. And then whenever you want to get that feedback, I would then share that information from the staff. Said, hey, you met with candidate A this morning and you met with candidate B this afternoon. We give you the feedback. We make it crystal clear, no confusion, that this is a board decision. The board's going to pick who they want to be the next director of the Warrenville Library, but they want to hear from the staff. They want to hear what you guys think about these candidates. And then, we've had some boards that wanted to know that information right in the beginning before they even started talking. And we've had other boards that said, let us talk first, then give us the feedback. And then Alex and I have kind of our process where we kind of pin you guys down to, okay, you met candidate A, you met candidate B. Which one do you think is your top person that you choose to be the next director for Warrenville? And so we go through that process, and usually that happens on a Saturday where you have a morning session, then an afternoon session with your final two candidates. And that's, and then.
Can I interrupt you for just a moment?
Yeah, please.
Sorry. We actually only have a few more minutes for your presentation. I wanted to give the board a chance to ask any questions that they might have.
Oh, sure.
If that's okay. Is there anybody that has any questions that you'd like to pose?
I do have one question. So it seems like your approach is generally waiting for the candidates to come to you rather than, say, reaching out and finding the candidates.
And it's a mixed bag. Thanks for the question. We have had experiences where we post this job and we don't need to make contacts. We don't have to recruit because I would think with Warrenville, you'd probably have a really good turnout as far as folks that are interested. But because of our experience working in libraries, as I said, we're getting a little bit older, so we don't know all the young guns that are coming up. But we do have a lot of folks that we do know. And so if we think there's a good person, and maybe we've talked to them about other positions in the past, or we know that this is somebody that's thinking of making a jump from a library to a library, yeah, we do that as well. That's something that we offer and will do if we, if you guys think it's important, and two, if we think there's a good fit as well, then we'll go to the folks that we know. We kind of keep a running list of folks that are kind of on our radar for potential directors down the road.
Yeah, this is Alex, just to follow up on that. We do recruit for every job that we work on. Like Jim said, we do have a list of potential folks that are on our radar as future directors. As a director myself, I know who are the directors at smaller libraries that may be looking for an opportunity to move up to a bigger library like Warrenville. As a assistant director, Jim is working with a bunch of other assistant directors who, again, he knows who's at a point in their career where they're maybe ready to take a step up to be a director for a first time and who would excel at that. So that is something that I think that we are really pride ourselves on and doing a good job on, and building those personal networks that we can bring to bear for Warrenville.
Okay, good. Thank you, Alex. Any other board members with questions? No? Okay. One more? Oh, go ahead, Heather.
So I understand you are working full-time, and I didn't know if that causes an issue with the search and or as well as what was I going to say? Shoot, I lost it. But anyway, do you feel that I know, how many searches do you conduct at a time? Like, I didn't know if you have any that are in progress right now.
Yeah, we've kind of tested ourselves, I'll say, last year. As you know, people over these probably the last 2 years have done a lot of job hunting. So there's job hopping, so, or stepping away even. So there's a lot of that. We had a huge, I guess, last fall into last winter, and we kind of took on the position, a number of searches to see how far we could go. It works out pretty darn well when we can stagger ourselves. So we're currently working with 2 libraries. One started a while back, one just started up recently. So the staggering allows that to happen. But yeah, I would say that if we ever got ourselves to, I think, and don't hold me to this, I think we were at 4 or 5 at the same time moving into last winter, and we were kind of like, okay, that's too many. So we wouldn't do that to ourselves again. But yeah, we've got the wherewithal to, again, because of the way that the searches are starting up, we could take on a 3rd library, no problem at all, just because of the way, that we work with you to schedule things out. And there's a kind of a flurry of activity in the beginning, then it gets quiet for a while, then a flurry of activity for a while, and then we go into the final. So again, you can kind of split those things up, make sure that we're available those weeknights and weekends when that work needs to get done.
We do have pretty, we're very, very committed to trying to have our candidate selected by December 31st.
Okay.
And so I'm just wondering how you feel that will work in a timeline for you.
Yeah, that actually, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so that can definitely work. I think the biggest challenge with that is going to be the holidays. Just with Thanksgiving and the Christmas holidays, it's just availability of the board and the candidates. If the final interviews are being scheduled around the Christmas holidays, trying to make sure that everyone's schedule matches up. It can certainly be done, and our timeline has us that we included in our packet. The final interviews would be scheduled late November, early December. So you would have, and that's with a decision tonight. So that would have the final decision being made, like I say, in early December, most likely. And then with the transition, the new director will probably be starting sometime after the holidays in early January. It's certainly worthwhile and viable goal, and it should happen. Our process works. We've tried it. It works. The timeline works as we have it there. So we fully expect if we were hired, we would have your director. The final interview is taking place in early December, so that would meet your goal.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah, and as Alex said, just, one more piece is that it does get, not even with holidays, but just tricky because you guys know you've got 7 board members and and then you've got potentially the candidate schedule. So it's a good reminder for all that sometimes, even though we've got it worked out, the candidates can't always meet those schedules as well. So it's always, you got to have a little flexibility built in, even though it's tough to do that sometimes.
Jim, what is your search radius that you find for a library the size of Warrenville, and given the relationship to other libraries in the area that you've worked with?
So, could you define that a little bit more, the radius of?
How far would you go up to? Madison, Wisconsin, Louisville, Kentucky?
To recruit.
To recruit?
Oh, well, see, that's the I don't know, the beauty of today's world is that, if you guys were maybe closer to the Wisconsin border, we would go to the Wisconsin Library Association and actually post with them, or if you're closer to Indiana, that kind of thing. But because of everything being online these days, folks actually hunt this out themselves. They go to the American Library Association, they see what jobs are open in Illinois. The Illinois Library Association, Rails, which is our system that covers the whole north half of the state. You guys would be putting it on your website. We would be putting it on our LinkedIn, social media, that kind of stuff. So you almost can't define the radius, because people could, like I said earlier, like somebody found us from Hawaii to come to Joliet. I'm like, who the heck is coming from Hawaii to go to Joliet? It's expansive as wide as the folks that are out there looking for. It isn't defined by, a paper publication anymore these days, because people who are seeking it out can find it, and librarians are good at that. So
Yes, they are. All right.
I hope that answered the question.
That was good, yes.
Okay, good. All right, I think that we have, I'd like to try to have you conclude your presentation, if you have any final things you wanted to say. So we do have some things to talk about.
Okay, yeah, I'll let Alex jump in and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, thank you. We're still relatively new to the game. We're about to conclude our 10th search. That's not a lot, but it is enough to show that our process works. We are we're very good at doing this. All of our directors are still in their positions. All the boards are very happy with the directors that they hired, and that's really the key thing. And, we hope that we have the opportunity to work with you. We know that we can work with the board to find the next great director for Warrenville.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you all for the opportunity. And yeah, big question that I probably, would have had that we already answered was, what's your timeline? When are you looking to do this? And you answered that already. So again, thanks so much for having us.
All right, great. Thank you so much for coming on video tonight. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Good to meet you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Now, are either of them still on?
Neither are on.
So I just wanted to know.
I have a question. Is there any way to look at one of those websites from John Keister that he referenced?
I can try, absolutely.
I thought that might be a good.
Are we in discussion now?
We are.
I would just like to say, if they started in 2019, and this is 2022, sure, they're probably still there, but they don't have as long a track record.
That's exactly right.
We know 17 years. There's nothing to say, so if you started in 2019, possibly 2 years, that's not a long time for turnaround. I'm just, that does bother me.
Yeah, they are a very new firm.
Well, the thing I noticed is, Jim seemed to lack the positivity that Jim Keister had.
The passion.
The positivity,
Right.
and I didn't hear any clear-cut objectives
Mhm.
for what they would provide. It was too much of what we would have to do as a board, what you guys, and I hate that expression, you guys have to do.
Well,
And, I didn't hear that from John Keister.
somebody asked the question about almost in essence, where did we get the candidates from? When John said, I'm gonna go after them. I'm gonna find out. what
That's
it is."
right.
Yeah, I like
This guy did
approach.
not, well, we put it on LinkedIn.
Right.
I could put it on LinkedIn.
Okay, now, the saving grace for Jim was Alex. He did have the positivity. He did have the knowledge.
He's been my key point person through this.
And he has
Process, so
knowledge
This
of,
is my first interaction at all with Jim.
See, Alex was the one that did the budget presentation and he shined through. I mean, him just being on the phone it wasn't a great one, but I mean, if you've seen him in person, you definitely get a different impression than what was here tonight. But that being said, I am not impressed with their methods in the sense that it's very
he was
static.
too laissez-faire.
Well,
He
but
just,
Yes, Cindy, that's exactly.
he
how
was
it is.
just,
it's
he
really-
wasn't
the
there
biggest-
for me. He
the
wasn't
biggest thing
there
is
at
just
all.
that with John Keister, it is definitely a very active versus a static.
I agree.
And that's what made the difference for me. Because I mean, like I said, I was very impressed with Alex when I saw him in person, but I'm still not impressed with their process. And I really, really like the process that John Keister had.
I think John's approach, the one word I would use, was much more professional.
Oh, my gosh.
And we are looking for a professional person.
He
which
cared,
means
he
he's gonna
cared.
attract a
He
professional
cared. I felt
person.
like he cared about us. I didn't get that feeling with
I did
the
not
second
get the
man.
feeling,
that it was like they're working, so
we can fit it in when we got time.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, here is an example of one of Keister's search. websites. And congratulations to Amanda.
Yeah.
So I think that you can see from this site, you know, there's a summary of the position. You can tell from this, the outcome of those discussions that John and his team have with the board and the staff, you know, who's going to be successful in this position. But you can also see there's other information here. There's specific information about the library, its history, a map of the area, the
Wow, he
district.
really does his work.
And this is where, like, Sarah brings her piece to this as
Right.
well. Here's information about the community. So they're working hard to sell the library
Yes.
as a
As opposed to just
destiny or-
posting it, yeah.
Right, exactly.
And
So,
the thing is that he goes to the site and
I was
talks
just
to
gonna
people.
say, Sue.
Well,
Look at
they did
Walmart.
say, Jim, oh,
Yeah.
you mean the
Yes,
Walmart
he
thing,
says,
yeah.
what do you think about the library? What do you think? You know, he
We've got
gets
a Target
involved.
he can go to if he wants.
He gets very
So
involved
many
with,
people in Naperville go there, I've seen like that.
Yeah.
You have to go to Tom's Market, I feel like, if you really want.
yeah, he might go
That's
to Tom's Market and just start talking.
and this, it's definitely a different style, but this is what Jim and Alex put up. They recently worked with St. Charles Library.
Oh, is that where Patty is?
Yes.
Oh, is that, did they find her?
Did they
Patty
recruit
is-
Patty?
No, Patty is an assistant manager of
Oh,
circulation.
Okay, for some reason I thought she was. Okay.
No. So again, they've met with the director or the board and staff there to find out who the ideal candidate is.
Wait, go back.
See, they did
So-
list some things.
Look
And
at
he
this
should have
ideal
said that.
candidate. Just take a minute to read this.
I saw that, yeah.
Can you go back to the Frankfurt one? About the opportunity. I feel like this is so much better written. And that's just
Well-
with my little editor's hat on.
But it may be different. I mean, I can pull up, that may be what the board at St. Charles
Really wanted.
wanted.
Yes,
And they ultimately kind of, I think, have to approve what's posted.
yes, that's true.
So don't knock it too much. I can,
Okay.
you want me to pull up John's other example?
Yeah.
No,
You get the idea,
I think we
right?
get the idea. I really do.
I think that one of the key points in this discussion has to be Heather's question. They're both full-time employed as librarians. I don't get the sense this will be something they will devote, because I have to ask
Well, I'd be really upset if I was a member of their board
Yes,
and knew they were involved in 4 other searches while they were
And-
working full.
I
I
have
mean,
to
I'd be
say,
like, are you
Okay,
doing any
listen,
job?
I think it would be a waste of $13,000.
well, and the other piece becomes, I know they were new, but when you're new at something, I question the integrity of taking out 5 to 6 searches at one time. That really bothered me.
Well,
Yeah.
especially when they said, yeah, we found out it was too much, that I wonder the quality, then,
Oh,
and
that was
knowing
my
that they're
point.
already involved in 2, and we would be number 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And John stated that they would have a maximum of 2 going on at a time.
You
I
know,
think we kind of have a consensus. Rick, I
Jim
haven't heard
didn't sell
anything from
himself.
you.
He
I
didn't
don't
sell
think we need
himself.
to
or
chop
anything.
out anybody anymore.
All right, so do we need to make a motion?
Yes.
I believe we do. because we're spending-
Go ahead, Jerry. You wanna
Yeah.
write this down?
I don't have- I make a motion that we approve the services of John Keister and Associates LLC for the executive search for our new library director.
Excellent. That was, motion was made by
Trustee Pika,
Trustee
and
Pika.
seconded by trustee Warren.
Warren. Good, all right. Is this, roll call? Yeah,
Yes. A roll
Um,
call.
Trustee Spell,
Aye.
trustee Ratika,
Definitely, and I.
Do we need the?
emphatic aye.
My question is, do we need the dollar amount in here?
Oh, for the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 19,600.
19,500.
Yeah, something like, and
It was,
6,000 down, 6,500 down.
19,500.
Yeah, 19,500.
Pay $6,500 when the contract is signed.
Okay,
You got all that, Sandy?
I'm actually
actually,
putting it in.
it's Heather who has to put it in.
Yeah.
Just
Can you
add-
amend the motion, Heather?
Yeah.
Thank you. Trustee Warren,
4 eyes.
Trustee Pika.
Aye, on 6.
Trustee DeRocher votes aye, motion carries. Okay.
I'm just gonna say, I think the next two items we don't need to discuss at this time.
What is it? I'm sorry.
I don't know that the next two items you're really ready to discuss at this time. One is the consideration of dates for meetings.
I can tell you that John Keister already told me that he's gonna want to attend our next board meeting.
Okay, great.
So we will meet him at our, on the
And
21st.
And you're going to notify him tomorrow, so he can
Yes.
start his background research that doesn't require people in the library or the board.
Yes.
Because what do we need to do though about getting him payment? Because I know it said 6,500, so is that something that's?
Well, you're
I
gonna
have to sign, I'm gonna have to sign his agreement letter, and then,
You get it in 2 signatures on the check.
and then you can, I think that they'll accept a check if we have a check issued at the board meeting on the 21st.
okay,
I
You
honestly,
can ask him, he knows the library, if he wants something, then we'll have to make other arrangements.
I'll ask him that.
will you ask him that?
Yes.
And ask if he can, you can say send Sandy an invoice or whatever he needs to do.
Send Sandy an invoice.
An invoice,
Okay.
yeah.
The other question is, and maybe he could give us his schedule as to when he's available to meet, because, does that might play a factor too, as to how we, like, is there one night of the week that works better? I mean, is it Wednesday nights that
He
work
will
better
be
for our
very-
board or versus?
I think he'll be very
Very
accommodating,
flexible.
yeah.
I think that we'll be able to get at that pretty quickly
Yeah,
on the 21st.
she doesn't have any.
I was
candidate.
I'm wondering if Sandy doesn't even know about any of this, because she has been really radio silent. I haven't heard a word from her. So I don't know if she knows that we just
Well, I'm
Well, she
looking at
can't
this
vote.
Sandy and I'm thinking, what do you mean? She's sitting right
So-
here, but you're making.
She can't
the other
vote.
Sandy.
I'm talking about Sandy Lizan.
Oh,
So anyway, I don't think we should try to do too much else
I,
until the 21st.
okay.
And that's not that far away, just get John with the heads up that he is going to have the contract and talk to him about the payment with the check at the board meeting.
I can actually sign this, this is a
Yeah.
little agreement. I can sign this and scan it and send it to him.
And that gives him a heads up, he might, I would be willing to bet he wants to be a part of the agenda and make
Yeah.
some of what he's already accomplished, knowing him.
Well, we're gonna need him to be on the agenda just to say what our next steps are.
well,
You
he's
might
gonna
want to,
take charge.
you might want to consider having a committee of the whole meeting,
Oh,
Yeah.
to do that, okay.
because
Maybe
we do
it's
have
6
quite a
o'clock.
bit on the agenda in September.
Committee,
And that way
Should we
he
do
can
that at 6 o'clock?
yep.
Ask
You
about
think
his
6 or
availability.
6:30?
I
I
think
would
possibly
say
6.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot.
Okay, are we gonna need to organize a meal?
What's the date for that meeting?
Do we have funds?
On Wednesday meeting,
Not
what's the
really.
date?
We'll
come fed then. We won't do a meal.
Probably the
Will that be okay for you?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Tonight was just because I had to go witness a will, so.
You know what,
I
if you
told my
like,
husband I can't
We
witness
can
a
have
will.
some veggies or fruit or cheese and crackers and sausage or something.
There you go.
If somebody
Okay.
needs it.
Good idea.
here,
21st.
third
So
one.
21st,
21st.
So it's our regular board meeting, but we are gonna do a committee of the whole at 6 PM, and please do eat before you come. Because we're not gonna have a meal here. All
We're
right?
having cheese and crackers and sausage.
if
She
you like.
said that,
How about
But-
bread and water?
still,
Red.
you still might wanna have some, a meal before you come.
That's a meal for me.
All right,
Small tree, okay.
all right. I think we're ready for our, I'm excited.
So then you
actually.
can
Yes.
confirm that.
I'm not excited about replacing you, but
I
I
know.
really feel very confident in John Keister.
Heather and I talked a little bit this afternoon. She had a couple of questions. And we were trying to think back to the last process, 17 years. I don't know if those brain cells are still
I
there.
remember meeting Sam.
But, I said to Heather, and I hope you maybe saw it in your email today, the e-newsletter came out, and we put a little paragraph in there about this. And I truly, I will miss this library a lot. I'm sad to be leaving, but I am also very excited for the future of the library,
Mhm.
because someone new will bring some new energy, some new passion, and it'll just keep moving forward.
That's
I'm
right.
sure of it. So that makes me excited. So,
I do want to say very publicly before we break, and I know that in your evaluations and everything, we've given you very positive feedback, but Sandy, if this reputation that John speaks of Warrenville is really
I hope it
exists out there in the world, it is everything to do with your leadership.
But it is also everything to do with the board that we've had.
Very
Honestly,
cohesive.
when they talk about, even locally in this area.
We've
there are
had people with
some
some
boards-
real
Yes, challenges.
difficult challenges, that's right.
So knock on wood, we've been very fortunate here. It's the board, it's the community, it's the local taxing districts that we work with.
And if I can just say, when I first came on this board, he was very, very fractured. And there was a point where I was like, this is not what I signed up for, and I wasn't gonna stay. And so over the years, because of everybody on the board, that's what kept me coming
Yeah,
back.
and you've been on it 20 years.
Yeah.
That's
so-
fantastic.
And it's like right now, I'm trying to decide, I feel like everybody, 20 years and that's it, they're done, and I'm like, I feel like I'd like to stay, but then I don't know, maybe I feel like I'm overstaying.
I would have,
Hey,
I
people
would
keep
have
electing
stayed.
you, what can you say?
If my life hadn't changed with my husband passing and retiring and the opportunity to travel and I would miss so many meetings. I think it's only fair to have someone who will be here. And I don't like missing him, so
I appreciate that. I
I've
appreciate
had a
that
good
you feel that
attendance
way. Yeah.
record.
Yeah,
I have.
It's good
I
though that
think
you,
once or twice sick
that
or,
it's important
surgery.
that we all have an awareness that it's important that we attend. There's a lot of
Yes.
library
They don't have
board
a
members that don't.
well,
So-
I took the position seriously,
Yeah.
so.
All right, so can we have our final motion? Did you have something you want to say?
I don't think so. I just wanted to thank you for the comment. But I really do believe it's been a team effort, everybody, the staff. I don't
But
know.
honestly,
It's been
Sandy, and I'm gonna
fortunate.
say this to John as well, I have been on other boards. And this board is a pleasure to be on. And those other boards were not, because there was so much contention among board members and among staff and board, between staff and board. So
Here or other boards?
other places,
Oh,
other boards.
You've done a nice job.
Yeah, well, thank you, but
You're
I
very
mean, we
pleasant.
had many people be president and, we share the responsibility among us. And, it's just been a pleasure being on this board. I wouldn't have kept running if it had.
I think the key thing is we have a common goal in
Yeah.
mind, all of us, a common goal. A lot of boards don't have a common goal. They lose that. They lose their common goal.
Yeah.
And they
Well, and we
have,
haven't had anybody get elected because they had a beef about
No,
a
they-
book or a thing or,
a person.
Yeah, because once that happens on a board, it makes it very fractured.
Right,
It
and that's
does.
kind of what I walked into without.
So just,
Oh, wow.
and I want you all to keep in mind as this process moves forward, and I mentioned this to Heather earlier today, I will probably excuse myself from some of these discussions because I want all of you, I want all of the staff to talk freely about what you and what they want to see in a new director.
Mm,
So I'm probably gonna step back from some of that.
that's-
Definitely there's some information they will need from me, but that's your job to decide what. the
That's
next
very
director is.
professional of you. Thank you.
So.
Always the
It's
consummate
exciting.
professional.
It is very exciting. Okay,
All right, who would like to give us our final motion?
I move that we adjourn the special meeting of the
And I-
Warrenville Public Library.
And I second that.
And I'm gone.
All in flavor, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Think about it.
All right.
Is at 8:14.